And welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We're going to be taking views from our technical panel very shortly. Dr. Sam Kamau joins us. He has political commentary for us, and Mark Bichachi right next to me, who has worked as a communication strategist for political parties, and we'll be looking to hear from you both on your expectations for tomorrow's process and the feeling you have both from the police and of course the commission in terms of their general preparedness. But before we go there, let's take you now live to Eldoret, where our Mercy Kandie Tanui is standing by with an update in terms of preparations for tomorrow's general election. Mercy.
Yes, indeed. Kiguta, what happened today in Uasin Gishu County that has over 450,000 registered voters. The polling materials distribution went on smoothly, security personnel in place, a few hitches here and there with the drivers demanding more pay than what they had been promised. That has been sorted out in more Starling stations, and what we know as of now is that that process kicked off well. Kiguta, we are now stationed at the MV Patel Hall in Uasin Gishu County in town, and remember, this polling station has about 19,000 registered voters. In the recent general elections, the queues here were really long, going around the entire hall up to the main highway, and residents in Eldoret town will tell you that if you want to vote at MV Patel, you really have to be awake as early as 3 so that you could be at least among the first 100. But what's different today, Anne, is that there are 16 polls already stationed, and that means for the residents of Eldoret town who have been set to be registered here, that will be easy because they have 16 stations already set. And what you can see on your screen, Anne, are polling clerks already here. They're saying that they are braving the chilly, cold Eldoret weather to be here and ensure that residents, when they come here, they'll be able to vote. And also what we've been witnessing also, and is currently happening, if my cameraman could just pan to my left, is that residents, it's a 24-hour town, and residents have been going to that just at the entrance of the hall. People have been going there to confirm that number, their identification, and the names that are coming fast, so that you could know in terms of if your name starts with A, then if you'd be at probably station number 16 or number 1 or number 15. So that's what we've been seeing. And even as we wind up, I just probably want to interview one of the polling clerks who's been here since 6. Labda utueleze majina yako. Najua ni baridi, lakini umejiami kivipi, na najua process inaanza around 5.
Okay, my name is Susan Jerry. I'm a polling clerk at this station. This is one of the largest polling stations at Eldoret. We've been here since 2 o'clock as clerks, and we are still waiting for the polling materials to get here.
Thank you very much. Na labda umejihami kivipi, usingizi ama mtalala, mtakuwa awake mpaka that time?
As you can see, I'm very warmly dressed. We'll be here until morning. Voting is at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, and even the voters are already here. They will cash out with us.
All the best, Njeri. There you have Njeri, one of the polling clerks, being upbeat about the whole process. Looking forward to that process. And remember, Anne, it's a neck and neck race tomorrow with the current governor, Jackson Mandago, seeking a second time, going against the independent candidate, Zedekiah Bundotich, popularly referred to here as Buzeki. Also, other candidates seeking various positions of woman representative, former registrar Gladys Boschule, and also Margaret Kamar, and a few others. So a hotly contested governor's seat, but we have to wait until that day so that the results are tallied and the results announced. Back to you in studio, Anne.
Thanks very much, Mercy. And it is now a very short wait, isn't it? I'm sure the next couple of hours will go like no one's business. Okay, Sam Kamau is with us in studio alongside Mark Bichachi. We have our Faiza Maganga. Let me just confirm her location for us very shortly. She's in Kitui and of course has been following our preparations there. Faiza, let's come to you very quickly. Good evening to you. And are all polling materials there? Is that station set to go for tomorrow's general election?
Good evening to you, Anne, but I wish I could say differently, but here in Kitui County, we are still continuing with the process of handing over materials to the presiding officers. It's a process that actually began very early in the morning, but up until now, we are still doing the same process. It is a slow process that we have witnessed in many of the other constituencies of the Kitui County, meaning that it's going to be a very long night for all the officers who are in charge of this process, because it looks like it's going to take almost the whole night with just a few hours to the opening of the polling stations. Indeed, it is going to take almost the whole night for the people to get to where they're supposed to get and then set up those polling stations in readiness to open the polling stations by 6 a.m. And so indeed it looks like it's going to be a sleepless night for most of the officers who are in charge here, and we will be keeping an eye on everything that is going on. Earlier on, the materials that are not here, which are the ballot boxes, that stamps, the booth for the voting and all that, is on another corner, where after you get your ballot papers from here, you go there to collect those ballot boxes and the rest of the stuff before you're deployed to where you're supposed to go. Two officers per polling stations also helping with the deployment of these materials, and they're also helping with the carrying of these materials to where they're supposed to go. They're also not going to have any sleep tonight. As you can see, they are also here waiting for their presiding officers to be given their materials so that they can go with them. Part of these delays early in the morning were caused by the processes that were ongoing, including the oath taking by some of the security officers. As you know, you need to take an oath of secrecy to say that you're not supposed to disclose what a voter has, what ballot the voter has cast. If Faiza Maganga voted for someone, you're not supposed to say who Faiza Maganga has voted for, and such processes where you're supposed to be told what happens in a polling station, what is not allowed in a polling station, are some of the things that the officers were being taken through, and so that was part of the delays that actually happened. And earlier on, we visited some polling stations where people were actually coming to verify whether their names have been pinned down on the walls of that polling station, and also to confirm which streams they will be voting at. These streams now being called the polling stations in a polling center, confirming that their names are there and reconfirming that which stream they're going to vote in, or which polling station they're going to vote in. And so on, these activities are looking like they're going to go throughout the night until the morning, 6 a.m., when we will be opening at the polling stations and voting begins at 6 a.m. It is this county where bigwigs come from, if I may say so. Dr. Willie Mutunga, the former Chief Justice, is voting in Kitui County. The first African Chief Justice also comes from Kitui. Big names will be voting here in Kitui, including the 3 governor candidates, who include the incumbent, Dr. Julius Malombe, will be voting here in the morning in Kitui Central. Charity Ngilu, the former minister, will also be voting here in Kitui Central, and we will also be catching up with David Musila, another gubernatorial candidate, who will be voting in Mwingi, together with Kalonzo Musyoka, the running mate for the NASA candidate Raila Amolo Odinga, who will also be voting in Mwingi. So, and as you can see, it is a county of bigwigs.
Bigwig County. Thanks very much, Faiza. We'll catch up with you tomorrow. Okay, so still some significant delays, but as Dr. Kombe has said, this doesn't worry you much. We've got the whole night ahead of us, I suppose, for your officials to be in place for tomorrow. So, Dr. Kamau, you've been watching the bulletin so far. What is your assessment in terms of the responses you heard, both from the Commission and from the police service, for preparations for tomorrow's general election?
Thank you, Anne. I think one of the issues that is coming out clearly is that IBC is definitely better prepared compared to 2013. And I think one of the issues we have done, I think, and this election will actually make the 2022 election even better, because if we seem to learn from our mistakes, both from administrative processes but also from a legal point of view. So it's very reassuring when we hear some of the plans that are already in place both from the police side but also from IEBC, but maybe focusing a little bit more on IEBC. Of course, one of the things we expect is that technology has to work, and they have assured us that at the point of voter identification, if that works, because that is what caused part of the problem and anxiety in 2013, if that works and things run smoothly, then it will help a lot. But I think the second issue that is very important is how to deal with the rumors and the fake news that are spreading a lot on social media, because people will just receive information and share. For example, we have heard that they are planning to shut down the system at around midday. Others, they're saying maybe they will shut down in certain areas. I think a coordinated response, timely response from IEBC to make sure that we are getting regular updates and also trying to dispel some of these rumors, because somebody will start something with a certain motive, but once it starts spreading and being shared across, it will eventually be picked by people and they start talking about that. I think that is one of the issues that I hope they have some mechanisms in place to deal with that. The second
Let's hold it right there so that they can respond to that. You know, it's coming to the place where, unfortunately, social media, which has been an incredible platform for connectivity and for ease of receiving information, is reaching the point of, you know, near complete disrepute, if you like, when it comes to authoritative news and information, and especially now, more so over the elections. It has also been a platform that has been used, unfortunately, to spread a lot of hate speech. So let's hear from you first, Charles, in regards to how the police service is monitoring communication on social media. Of course, it has also been a useful platform. This is where people have sort of also come together to help each other, to, you know, assist, but at the same time it has been infiltrated quite significantly with those spreading hate speech and those spreading false reports. To what extent are you able to police this platform and bring any semblance of order, while of course respecting the freedom of speech and expression that citizens have?
I think that we have been working very closely with the NCIC, more so the Criminal Investigations Department, in monitoring communication, especially on social media. You remember last year we arrested quite a number of senior politicians and took them to court, and I think this really helped us a lot in managing especially hate speech in the social media. But equally, at this particular point, people will use it for several purposes, and more so it is propaganda. In politics, a lot of propaganda works for other people, but equally it is important that the voters will be able to tell from what is genuine and what is not genuine. I'm sure the damage you can cause between now and tomorrow, and we start chasing you tomorrow, it calls for responsibility for each and every person. But that does not mean that you will commit crime through the social media, spread hate speech, and then expect to go scot-free. As much as it may have implications tomorrow, but we'll still have to catch up with you, even if it takes another 3-4 days. So it's important that we keep off negative information on social media.
I think one of the issues, and we are likely to experience, is we have seen people sharing, for example, videos of things that happened in the past or images. And I think, for example, if you see somebody posting or sharing images and say that this is happening in Mombasa currently, and you know what tends to happen is that violence begets violence. So when people see a fake video, for example, it could be from the past, and it's shared in one location, other people in another location could respond. I don't know from a police point of view, also in terms of also dispelling some of these things, because people tend to believe once they see it. For some reason around the electoral season, where people are so polarized, they tend to believe something, especially if they think it will favor them, or maybe it is a point of crying out. I think it's one of those concerns that I don't know from a police point of view, once we start seeing these videos, because I guarantee it will happen that people will say police have done this in a particular place.
I think we are lucky that tomorrow we have media houses almost everywhere instantly, and we'll be monitoring very closely what's happening in social media. That means that if you bring up a video allegedly from a particular place, we have officers in those areas and we have people. We'll immediately call upon the media in that particular place to confirm that that is actually not true and it is not happening. That's the only way we can counter it. But we are lucky we have media houses almost everywhere.
Yeah, and Mark, by the way, speaking of media, I mean, we just saw today one of the major television networks coming out to deny a report which circulated on social media that bore the station's image and ident. So we cannot emphasize the need for caution. Please, if you want to verify information, go straight to our official accounts. Most of our accounts are actually verified, especially on Twitter with the blue tick. Go to official station handles to get information. Mark, you deal in the communication space, and so as part of strategy, I suppose, unfortunately, misinformation many times is a deliberate part of strategy by political camps. What advice would you give Kenyans as they go online and seek out information on the poll and results as soon as counting goes out, in terms of verifying their information and being certain that it's accurate?
What I'm finding funny about this particular election is we have propaganda that is headed absolutely nowhere. And this is what I mean.
Okay.
When you push propaganda that says that the IEBC will switch off tomorrow, to which end? Because both candidates that are leading in this particular election need you to turn out. So that propaganda that you're spreading across the nation is not useful at all. The issue about propaganda, and there's negative spin and there's positive spin, and there is space in the political conversation about it, but there must be always an end goal to why you're doing it. And what I feel like is that as politicians and maybe as the public, what we're doing is we're just being emotional, and whatever fancies you is what you're sharing. And the problem is, I'll give you an example. If I'm a Jubilee supporter and I tweet and I say the systems will be shut down, it is my presidential candidate that I'm affecting, and the same side for NASA. So this particular propaganda narrative is not useful at all. What needs to happen is, as a nation, we need to grow up and get to the point where we understand that the words we say have to have a direction with which we want it to go. It's not a popularity contest. It is not. We're not parading our tweets for people to see. So we need to get to the point. No, but there's no prize at the end of it. Which prize?
Retweet.
Twitterati or
trending. I don't know. But I mean, at the same time, let's not just cast a blanket of doubt on what's happening on the social media space. There's a lot of great accounts out there that are giving authentic information. But I suppose our message is really sieve who you're following online and where you're getting your source of information. IEBC, you've been on the receiving end of all this misinformation. Does it worry you to the extent that it may be damaging to your credibility going into this poll?
I mean, look, we have put together a media team in our media center that is monitoring the social media and all other media anyway, but social media. We've also put together a team that is doing not just the monitoring but also response, where we know what, we could, once we see the trend of the issues that are being raised or the rumors or the fake news that is being addressed, then we do it immediately. I mean, for instance, yesterday there were rumors being sent around that there were pre-marked ballot papers in Bungoma. We checked very quickly with all our staff, and we confirmed. We checked with the police. We confirmed that there was nothing like that, and we tweeted immediately and said that is fake news. So we're trying to be as responsive as possible on social media, and if from tomorrow onwards, the entire media is right now at Bomas, so we'll be taking advantage of the presence of the media there to clarify issues, to have regular updates to the media. I mean, you might have seen today that almost all the commissioners were on one television set or another, trying to respond to questions that were being raised, trying to respond to some of the fake rumors and fake news that was being put out there. So our strategy is that for each of those things that are there that will undermine the credibility of the election, we're going to respond with facts and respond very quickly.
And just for to be sure that everybody knows your official handles online.
It's IEBC Kenya.
IEBC Kenya.
At IEBC Kenya.
At IEBC Kenya. All right. Dr. Kamau.
Yes, I was going to express a concern in terms of, I know IEBC has had to deal with a lot, but I think one of the challenges, and I won't call it a shortcoming, but in terms of voter education, information that is necessary to the voters, based on the questions that you still see coming up today. For example, why am I not in the voters register? Why am I still missing? I know you have addressed some of those issues, but the fact that these questions are there, it means that there could be some gaps in terms of were we really effective in our voter education, and did we put put out all the necessary information, because, for example, we talk about the verification exercise that we had. Today, actually, somebody sent me a text asking, what happens if I am completely missing from the register? And I know I responded. I was saying, did that person actually go for the voter verification exercise?
Dr. If there is any voter education, frankly speaking, if you look back at the last 2 weeks,
yes,
and you look at the intensity of voter education that has been out there, you know, I even found people,
and maybe that is part of the challenge, the last 2 weeks.
But you see, we have also worked with experts, and you're an academic,
yes,
and you know what it means, the absorptive capacity of people. There are times when everybody is, the politicians are campaigning, the politicians are selling their policies, everybody is focused on those politicians. You need to be able to get, if you are educating adults, it's different. You need to be able to come with strategies that are focused to adult education, that are focused on adult psychology, to which is what we were doing now, ensuring that you increase that voter education at the time when that space has been vacated by the politicians, because even if you had tried to do it much earlier, the politicians had that space. And we are getting people, if you go actually on social media now, I've been finding people saying, I am so tired of that IEBC ringtone on TV, on Citizen, on radio
the concern
station.
for tomorrow is when somebody goes to the polling station and they do not have the right information, or maybe they are confused about something, where do they go? Do they talk to people in the line? Do they approach security officers? Where are they supposed to get that information? Because that's very important, yes, because many people still come to the polling station not quite sure, you know, with no idea where do we start, what are we supposed to do. There is that thing about it's not exactly being Kenyan, maybe it's part of being human. In terms of mastering all these processes, where are they supposed to get the information they need to make sure that there is no campaigning in the lines, or maybe they are being misled, or such things?
I mean, there will be polling clerks there,
yes,
who will be guiding you throughout the process. The presiding officer, the deputy presiding officer will be guiding you throughout the process. As you enter as a voter, you'll be asked. It's not like people will expect you to go in there and just know what to do. They will assume that you don't know the various processes, and they will walk you through the various processes. They will just ask you, leta kitambulisho chako, utapatiana kitambulisho. They'll tell you, put your finger here, you'll put your finger there. They'll tell you, here now your papers, go mark them in that secret place, fold them, and they'll show you, this one is white, it's for the president, you put it here. This one is pink, it's for the member of woman rep, you put it there. So there will be, I mean, that is why you have so many clerks, and so many, you have about 6 or so in a polling station to be able to guide the various voters there. But we are still making the information available. It's still on our website. If you looked at in any of the newspapers, each of the newspapers for the last 1 week or 2 weeks, you've been seeing us putting the voting process with all the circle, the various steps you're going to walk through. And we are hoping that those who can read will still be able to read that. Those who can go to our Twitter account, they will see we have pinned actually the process there. And on our Facebook account, that information is also available for voters.
All right, Mark, as we wind up.
You know, one of the key things that we need to remember is that this election process only has 700 people maximum per polling station, and that makes it very easy for the IEBC to manage. The other thing that I must commend them is at this late stage in the process, a lot of the work has been done, which, by the way, is a record for most African countries. In fact, I think Kenya is set to have one of those record-setting electoral processes for Africa. That being said, I'm concerned about the people who refuse to carry ballot papers because they want a bump in what they're being paid. I think that is quite unpatriotic. I think we need to remember what Saitoti said once, that there comes a time when the needs of the nation exceed that of an individual, and that is not just about politicians. I think at this stage it behooves every Kenyan to get to the point where we are asking, instead of casting stones on the IEBC, what can I do to step up and help the IEBC and make this process easier? That is what the narrative needs to be in this nation, and I must congratulate the IEBC for doing an excellent job this far.
All right, so we're taking a break. Thank you. We're back after this.